So starting off March, there is a decent amount of news coming out for the XR market. Specifically, there are reports detailing that Meta declined Google's proposal for a partnership for Google's upcoming VR, AR, and MR platform. Then tying into similar news on hardware, Meta and LG officially announced and confirmed their partnership for Meta's upcoming XR device to be a successor to the Quest Pro line of headsets. Then we have plenty of gaming news to go over, with Beat Saber finally getting a long-awaited Daft Punk music pack and Beat Saber founders all leaving the studio. And lastly, a new battle royale being Contractors Showdown that goes open beta, basically bringing Call of Duty Warzone and PUBG to VR. Let's get on with the news. This first topic will be long, so strap in. So news came out a day ago from the information detailing Google's offering to partner up with Meta on the upcoming Android XR platform, and Meta declining. And this is big news. Basically, Google's upcoming Android platform and translating it to XR would bring the Google Play Store to Quest. One of these projects said to be using Google's upcoming XR platform is Samsung, as when Qualcomm released press information detailing its XR2 Plus Gen 2 chipset that is an upgrade from the chipset on Quest 3, offering a 15% GPU frequency boost. It offers better compute on standalone headsets and supports a resolution of 4.3K at 90 FPS per eye. Google is building its presence in the space with an Android XR project and picking up partners alongside. If you've been following any VR news, it's pretty obvious that Mark Zuckerberg stands firmly on becoming and building to own the next computational platform for VR, AR, and mixed reality, where Meta has been handicapped by knowingly being at the grace of platforms like Google and Apple with apps like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and having to combat privacy features. And Meta at its core is an ads business. The whole idea of why Mark's sweet baby raised Zuckerberg is taking the next leap in tech is to get away from the control of Google and Apple. However, the expense of trying to become the next computing platform has resulted in year after year loss in the tens of billions of dollars. Also, if you remember, in 2022 was the peak of Meta's biggest downfall in the stock market, changing the entire company's name to Meta, shifting long-term towards XR software and hardware, advertisers getting worried, and Facebook being less appealing to younger users introduced one of the worst years ever for the company. Meta, luckily, is in a position where that kind of spending doesn't affect them as much, but someday they'll need to turn a profit eventually if they want to keep on going and not piss off investors. The news summed up is that Meta has since rejected Google's proposal to join in on the collective Android XR platform. There was also a time when Meta wanted Google's Android Play Store apps officially on Quest, but Google didn't want to. If Meta were to partner up with Google, those said Android apps like the official Play Store and Chrome would come to Quest, making it much more than a gaming headset, targeting to become the next computational platform, but in hand would compromise Meta as they wouldn't be the leader of it anymore. They would essentially give the reign over to Google, and let's be honest, Google not only has a track record of starting projects first, but also shutting them down. There is a website dedicated to projects killed by Google. Quest does run an open source version of Google's Android OS, modified by Meta. However, it isn't feature complete compared to Google's version. If you use Google's version, it comes pre-installed with its apps, telemetry that it collects, and that 30% fee that every platform like Valve, Meta, and Apple collect on every sale. There are two versions of Android, the open one and the closed one, where Google essentially controls all of it. We see this back and forth with Meta and Google as they're heavily investing to become the next big platform. Doing so is extremely hard as you're competing with companies like Apple and Google that are already established and mature enough. People called it a moment where if Quest didn't evolve, it could become the BlackBerry of VR. In 2022, a report came out that Meta canceled a 300-person project to create a VR AR operating system called XR OS. Though reading more into it, the VR OS was cut and put on pause, but the AR OS is still very much in development, with that said to be released alongside Meta's true AR glasses. Starting from scratch with an AR platform is much easier than VR. These recent reports show that they are still very much focused on the XR side of things. As a person that enjoys the products they they have released, it's exciting to see that there are no signs of slowing down. As of right now, Meta is upholding the entirety of VR on its shoulders. Then switching from topics is the news of Meta and LG partnership is now official. From Upload VR, Mark Zuckerberg met with LG's CEO and LG's president from Home Entertainment Division to establish a next-gen XR device being in development, and this is the full press release text. This partnership looks like they're targeting the entertainment side of things, and to distinguish itself from the Quest line of headsets that generally market towards affordability and gaming. This most likely will be a higher-end product to rival Apple Vision Pro, and maybe could be a successor of Quest Pro or be an entirely different line of headset completely. With this partnership, I expect to see a micro OLED displays as a result of this. As LG, like Sony makes Vision Pro's displays and has expertise in display technology. I will say that my limit that I'll pay for a Pro headset from Meta is around $2,000, but it must bring the current offerings of Quest 3 and exceed them twice as much. Originally, I was going to weigh either Samsung's offering against Meta, as I do own a Samsung Z Fold 4, but as it stands, the amount of money I've spent on Meta's platform has me leaning on sticking with Meta. Also, if you notice a trend with Meta's Quest Pro and Quest 3, that every release includes a new Qualcomm chipset or an upgraded version of that. During the launch, they should position themselves to be releasing a XR3 Gen 3 to give people a real reason to not get more affordable options like Quest 2, Quest 3, or eventually the Quest Lite. Then moving on, the original trio of Beat games that developed Beat Saber have all left the company after being bought out by Meta. All three devs haven't left due to bad terms or disagreements, at least none of that was leaked. They all seem pretty happy, and it amounts to just moving on with their lives after hitting the jackpot on becoming probably the most successful VR title in the world. As great as Beat Saber is, there are other things that creatives and engineers would want to do in their lives. Beat Saber has a special place in my heart, and I want to say thank you to the devs as they contributed one of my favorite VR games and general games of all time. It's so simple but extremely addictive. Once you learn Expert Plus, it's GG's, bro. You go down a rabbit hole of trying to get better with every song and beating your previous high score. Hopefully, Beat Saber still maintains its spark and keeps it fresh year in and year out. And seeing new leadership would be welcome to take the game in a different direction. And I did see comments or people thinking that, this is an end of the game, but that's far from it. I think the current team at Beat Saber does a great job compared to previous years. Now we just need more updates and content. Then we are also getting an official Daft Punk music pack coming out on March 7. I look forward to that release, as from day one of playing Beat Saber, the melodies and aesthetic that would fit Beat Saber the most are those of Daft Punk. It's an instant buy on release and probably the biggest launch apart from the weekend pack. And lastly, Contractors Showdown open beta is live and enters Steam, Quest, and Quest Rift platform. From the layout of the map to the design of it all, it is very much inspired by Call of Duty Warzone and PUBG. I tried it out for 2 hours. I couldn't get into a match as the game was stuck on rebooting after getting into lobbies. It's extremely rough, and to get into the beta, you have to get into the game's Discord to get access. I did play a few matches on Contractors Showdown, and I played on Quest 3's standalone version. It shows promise and takes some time to get used to the mechanics and systems in the game. It feels very similar to Population 1 with more grounded combat and design choice of PUBG Mobile. It offers a large 16-kilometer map, and the player count is limited to 60. The game is extremely ambitious for VR, let alone running on standalone. This open beta is taking place on March 1 through 3, 8 through 10, 15 through 17. Then after, it targets a release on Q2 2024 on MetaQuest. The game is very rough and will improve over time, but if you learn from Battlefield 2042, the open beta more or so offers the complete experience, just in a more incomplete state. There isn't an official price set for the game, though I would be willing to fork over $30 for the game, but I do hope it becomes free to play, as games like this rely on a consistent flow of players in order to keep it alive. Microtransactions would be prevalent, but as long as cosmetics doesn't charge Valorant level of prices, it's fine. Free to play is fine, as this game would be a live service game too. And yeah, that's pretty much it. All the news that I wanted to go over. If you liked the video, drop a like, subscribe for more content regarding game reviews, comparisons, and VR news. And until the next video, see ya.